Show us. That doesn't really work, does it? Have you tried? Oh, that's good. Oh, fantastic. Oh, fantastic. Better. So much better. What a fantastic, fantastic tune. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. They have everything for young men to enjoy. You can hang out with all the boys. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. Young man, there's no need to feel down. Young man, pick yourself off the ground. I've been Donald Trump. Thank you and good night.
Then what size?
This one's from Jeremy in Wisconsin. And it says, Toffee Grand Coffee is the best coffee in the world. Thanks for the grift.
Anyway, I'm going to find out who this quartering character is. And when I do, he's going to get a bit of the old ice troll treatment.
Went from loathing Brie Larson to being the unofficial #1 fan site for Brie Larson.
How about a handshake? You're gonna give me your jacket, your helmet, and your motorcycle, and in return, I'm gonna let you keep your hand.
What is going on, everybody? How are you all doing on this wonderful Friday? Lots to talk about, lots going on in the news. We're just going live whenever nowadays. Apparently, I was trying to see what was going on with any kind of lineup today. Seemed like people are just going live, whatever. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to sit around and wait. I've got a ton to do. I've got to go to the pharmacy. I've got to get ready for a big race tomorrow. I've got chores around the house, all sorts of stuff. And I figured, why not just get after it rather than just sitting and waiting? So, let's get after it here. Let's start with this. Okay. Well, this morning, Tucker Carlson released I don't know, I would guess I would call it a mini documentary or an investigative piece that really shows Tucker Carlson at his best. Now, I don't have any issue with a lot of the like weird infighting stuff with Tucker, like, man, he's interviewing this guy or that guy. I just feel like he's, a bunch of his topics recently haven't been very interesting to me. But when he has a topic that's interesting to me, I get after it, I watch it, I enjoy it. And this morning, I don't know if he released it last night or I just saw it this morning. He released some pretty convincing evidence that the FBI is covering for Thomas Matthew Crooks and that potentially he was actually groomed into becoming an assassin. We have been told by the FBI, including the current administration, that the man had no digital online footprint. Tucker Carlson disproves that. Not only does he disprove that, but he proves that essentially the COOF broke this guy. And he then had a mysterious interaction with at least one person and then disappeared from the internet entirely shortly after attempting to take Donald Trump's life, taking the life of Corey Comprator, and subsequently being erased from the internet. There's a couple of really, really interesting aspects of this deep dive I want to share with you. I want to let you guys know, too, I forgot I had these for Christmas. I have these Trump meme cookbooks. The Mega Mixology Group book has got like tons of hilarious recipes in it that you can make non-alcoholic or alcoholic drinks. Each one's a meme in its own right. And our Christmas cookbook, these are all shipping in December. So the website, I don't know why it says it, but the front of the cookbook says 2024, but the cookbook itself does not have the date on it. So if you want to check that out, they're shipping in December. I've got like 400 left. So thequartering.com/shop, link in the description below to pick up your Christmas gifts. You can get even the original one we did, and then we have a bundle of all three. And so, yeah. Thomas Crook's report. Crooks changed dramatically after the lockdowns. According to Tucker Carlson's report, Crooks left social media after threatening to take out Ilhan Omar in July 2019. He referred to Omar as an invader and said her body should be sent back to her country. In early 2020, coincidentally, Crooks changed his entire view. He began advocating for lockdown restrictions over Americans' personal rights. He went after Republicans for claiming mail-in voting would lead to fraudulent activity. He went after the term deep state. He later started threatening to commit terrible acts. When another YouTuber began commenting named Willie Tepes and began encouraging Crooks' behavior, Tucker claims the person using the handle Willie Tepes, a YouTube account, appears to be affiliated with a foreign Antifa group. We don't know if it's the same person. We just know that it's the same name. How did the federal government not see his threats to elected officials on YouTube? The FBI never told us that his political views changed. Last we heard, he was a radical right-winger. Yeah, I mean, there's several points of Tucker's investigation that I want to share with you, because, you know, we were told essentially that, you know, Thomas Crooks was a Trump supporter and that he was a patriot, and even Dan Bongino told us that there is no quote unquote there, that he was simply a lone wolf shooter, except the evidence would seem that that is not the case. Multiple FBI agents practicing at the exact gun range where Thomas Matthew Crooks trained. Did any of them know him? I mean, it could just be a coincidence, but they've never actually addressed this. They never actually addressed the fact that he, in fact, was not a right-winger anymore. They told us. Here's a couple of the big takeaways. First of all, the FBI told us, including this current administration, meaning Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, that Thomas Matthew Crooks had zero online footprint. Remember that? They told us that there is no history, except that was a lie. And Tucker Carlson revealed he had, in fact, an extensive online footprint, which include
here's what we do.
You know, LinkedIn profiles, YouTube accounts, Discord accounts, all of this stuff tied to his phone number and his home.
You know, the digital comments we obtained were posted between 2019 and 2020, when Thomas Crooks was between 15 and 17 years old. They show two things. First, that Thomas Crooks was not some secretive lone wolf who never warned anyone that he was planning violence.
Yep.
Just the opposite. Years before he showed up in Butler, Crooks was leaving a detailed digital trail of violent threats, including calls for assassinations and political violence.
Now, wait a minute. I was told that he was just a lone wolf. Just a lone wolf shooter that, you know, happened to be in a BlackRock commercial. Now, again, the fact that he was seemingly encouraged by this YouTube user and then never really commented online again, that doesn't actually mean that this YouTube user, you know, made any kind of outside contact. It could be just a coincidence. But there were many comments that show, in fact, that he had become far left-wing in 2020.
Second, they show a man who started out as a radical Trump supporter,
Yep.
whose views on the president changed completely during COVID. The FBI lied about that fact.
Correct. They did. You can hate Tucker. You can love Tucker. You can think this is, circumstantial. You could think it's not important. But it does prove that the FBI lied to us. That Dan Bongino and Kash Patel lied to us. In fact, the FBI created an account to attack Tucker Carlson last night. The FBI wakes up today to be epically owned by Community Notes. The FBI rapid response said that the FBI never said Thomas Crooks had no online footprint ever. That's not true. I remember that specifically happening. In fact, Community Notes says, in a July 30th, 2024 Senate hearing, FBI Deputy Director Paul Abate, disclosed a social media account believed to be associated with the shooter. Abate then went on to describe a, quote, general absence of any other information to date from social media.
And importantly, that his digital footprint is completely MIA, that his digital footprint is missing. And that how can a 20-year-old in today's time have no digital footprint? So do you have any thoughts on that, any comments on that? And that'll be my last question.
Well, 4 years of doing protective intelligence investigations with the Secret Service interviewed probably hundreds of people who have credibly threatened our protectees. I've never seen anything like it. If you would have told me it was a 60-year-old guy who had lived most of his life without a computer and for the last 10 years had been planning this, hard to believe but digestible. You're telling me a 20-year-old kid who's grown up in the digital era figured this out when he was, 13? To never get an online presence? We've seen...
Whoops. Ba ba da ba da ba da ba da 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 bong. Da 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 da
Nothing. We're now
da.
6 weeks in. There's not a Facebook photo. You know, it's incredible. We know every single thing about these shooting incidents when there's a political narrative to be had by the media and the other side. We do.
They absolutely did say and repeated multiple times that this kid had no online footprint, which is simply wrong.
And pretended that Crooks was a right-winger. At 11:35 p.m. on July 19th, 2019, in response to an MSNBC video, Crooks wrote, quote, Ilhan Omar and others are invaders and should honestly be killed and their dead bodies sent back. At 1:17 a.m.
By the way, these comments would have been flagged by YouTube, almost certainly. I guess I can't know for sure if these were or not, but it's pretty clear to me that these would have been flagged by YouTube.
On July 20th, 2019, Crooks commented on a CNN video. He said Donald Trump was the literal definition of patriotism. 7 hours later, he commented on an MSNBC video. He wrote, I hope a quick, painful death.
How do we know that these were his comments? Because the account was forensically linked to Thomas Matthew Crooks's phone, and photographs and videos obtained from that same account's Google Drive account, metadata listed the latitude and longitude of Thomas Matthew Crooks's parents' home. So the videos found on the same account's Google Drive were filmed in Thomas Matthew Crooks's parents' home.
To all the deplorable immigrants and anti-Trump congresswomen who don't deserve anything this country has given them. That evening, on a separate MSNBC video, he wrote, quote, every one of the Trump-hating Democrats deserve to have their heads chopped off and put on stakes for the world to see what happens when you fuck with America. These sorts of comments continued for months and became increasingly violent.
But wait until the lockdowns.
The following day, Crooks responded to a CBS Evening News video about the squad saying this, quote, so much simpler. Crooks responded saying, cops can't arrest me if they're all dead, before adding, even an untrained man with an AR-15 is dangerous. You think Adam Lanza or any school shooter trained? Nope.
Interesting.
If you navigate to that YouTube page today, you can still see identical contextual.
That Bongino clip was him testifying before Congress. But the point of the clip is to reinforce or to prove that the FBI did in fact say that this kid had no online footprint. And many people, it was widely reported.
Actual comments and people referring to Thomas Crooks, including one user who wrote this: "You were on YouTube threatening to shoot government officials. I sure hope the FBI is monitoring social media for violent nutcases." That exchange is still available on Internet Archive websites. But the FBI didn't see that before the shooting?
Who's feeling better.
That's hard to believe.
It's
on various occasions, Crooks openly said things like Mueller should be hanged along with the rest of the Democrats involved in that witch hunt. And
now let's fast forward to the lockdowns. Now, they told us he was a right-winger, but they conveniently forgot out dozens of posts after the lockdowns where he clearly turned on Trump.
Up a bunch of socialist Jews, like the ones who booed Trump, and blasting their useless brains out with an AR. And yet, in early 2020, Crooks seemed to change radically. On January 23rd of that year, he referred to, quote, Trump's stupidity.
He
began to mock the concept of the deep state. He suggested it was a code word used by Trump supporters for, quote, anyone who disagrees with the right wing. Suddenly, he sounded like an MSNBC commentator.
What a quick change. It's almost like somebody got to him.
February of 2020, he called out Trump supporters as, quote, too brainwashed to realize how dumb you are. I mean, literally, you guys sound like a cult at times.
So at this point, he's very clearly not a Trump supporter.
Same day, he called Trump and his supporters, quote, racist. It was an amazing transformation. That April, during the peak phase of the coronavirus lockdowns, Crooks wrote, quote, it seems that you people don't understand that sometimes public safety comes before your personal rights.
Oops. He turned into a far leftist.
Are you not willing to quarantine one member of your family to save the rest? If so, you are not a patriot, and you aren't protecting anything. Issued what sounds a lot like a digital manifesto. Quote,
here at IMO, the only way to fight the government is with terror-style attacks, bombs into, essential buildings, set it off, tracked. I mean, he's very clearly been radicalized
the only
here.
Way to
He's very clearly been radicalized. He basically left a manifesto. Then we bring in this Willie Tepes guy, which again could be totally random. Okay, we don't know that this Willie Tepes guy is in fact the same guy linked with Antifa. Could just be completely random.
Then authority obviously comes from the barrel of a gun. We have more guns than they do. This is
question about Matthew.
Shoot. This is
Willie to the words of Crooks's YouTube commenting. At that point, a new character emerged into the conversation. A user named Willie Tepes, who started pressuring Crooks to commit violence. For example, quote, if a gun and a badge is all that is needed, then authority obviously comes from the barrel of a gun. We have more guns than they do. There is no way we can avoid a war at this point, so you better just get used to the idea. We have nothing to lose and everything to win. And the alternative, a global police state, is unacceptable. Nothing in life is simple, but that is no argument against doing it. So who is this Willie Tepes? Unfortunately, we don't know. The FBI hasn't made any mention of him in public, although they certainly know he exists. Just days after the shooting, somebody screenshotted Tepes' YouTube account page, despite the fact he had very few followers. To the extent
I wonder why that is. And also, by the way, to clarify, that clip of Bongino was before he was with the FBI. But to be clear, Dan Bongino is responding to the FBI narrative that there was no digital footprint.
Anthony can be traced online now. You can find his username being used on a foreign Antifa website. Those sites link him to the Nordic Resistance Movement, which has been designated a terrorist group by the U.S. State Department. That's all we know.
Isn't that interesting? I'm going to guess that this Willie Tepes, in just my opinion, probably a Fed, probably got him to take the conversation offline somewhere and radicalized him into doing what he did. This is probably the most important work. You see Josh Walkos too. After reviewing Tucker Carlson's recent investigation into Thomas Crooks, I believe the evidence suggests he was recruited by a third party, likely an individual or agency, and then allowed to attempt an assassination on Trump. Thomas Crooks attempts to take out Trump on July 13th. The FBI claims Crooks acted alone and had no online presence or digital footprint. The FBI described Crooks as a right-winger based on over 700 YouTube comments from 2019 to 2020 that included anti-Semitic and anti-immigration themes. Investigators obtained and verified hundreds of Crooks' YouTube comments from his account, Tom Crooks 2178, showing that he was highly active online, in fact. He searched for Trump over 700 times on YouTube, along with terms like Jack Ruby, mass events, chemical reactions, napalm, Molotov cocktails, civil war, Nazi-related terms, and why gays need to go. But by the COOF period, Crooks shifted to criticizing Trump. He interacted with a user named Willie Tepes, who is linked to the Nordic resistance movement. If that's the same person, we don't know that. Crooks had multiple online accounts, including Gmail, American Gamer GMX, Snapchat, Venmo, PayPal, Discord, Google Play, Quizlet, Chess.com, and 2 disabled Quora accounts, many of which using his real names. Some of Crooks' accounts were deactivated or possibly cleared by the FBI. I mean, this is Las Vegas all over again. Excellent work to Tucker Carlson, and I hope this forces the FBI into giving us some more answers immediately. I mean, there's just no other explanation for it. And there's this other part here I wanted to show you. This doesn't even really get into this part here at the end, where he talks about like how incredibly lucky he was.
These remarks were especially notable because...
Wait, sorry. Let me go here. Here.
A lot of America is unsatisfied with the result, and I think we better...
Is actively in court right now, so out of respect for the
activity the FBI has discovered was referred to in any way in the final congressional report that was released in December of 2024.
By the way, why do we still know nothing about that guy in Butler? What's going on?
That was a good question, a question that most people thought would be answered by the new administration. Within weeks of retaking office, Donald Trump told the New York Post's Miranda Devine that he had, quote, ordered the Secret Service on Friday to provide him every bit of information about his 2 would-be assassins.
You've had 2 assassination attempts. One, obviously, where you got hit by that bullet in Butler. There's a lot of frustration that we still don't know about that shooter in Butler, and we don't know about his communications. We get stonewalled.
I mean, how about the fact that his parents' house was like hermetically sealed, like professionally cleaned, right? Nobody. Well, I mean, people do talk about that, but they're not talking about that either. There's no silverware, allegedly. What the hell was that about?
All the time, asking questions about it. Is there frustration on your part? Will we get transparency? Will we know the bottom line story?
It's very interesting because we have great people. I think Pam is incredible. I think Cash is incredible.
I don't.
And they're doing a great job. They're being recognized as doing a great job.
But you're the president. Can't you find out?
No, I know. I'm relying on my people to tell me what it is.
But his people insist there's nothing there, and they don't seem interested in finding out more.
How come we don't have more information on the assassination attempts on President Trump?
There's 2 reasons. 2 open, ongoing prosecutions. But
that's a lie. Who's being prosecuted?
We have personally invested our time in making sure that we have looked at any possible international connections to terrorism and adversaries alike. And we've both been down to Quantico. We've both done the laboratory testing. We've both seen the explosives analysis. We've both seen the firearm and physically held it. We are all in on these investigations.
Are we going to be surprised at what you learned?
You know what, Maria? Cash is not kidding. We've been personally briefed extensively on every single detail, nugget, tendril of this case.
No, you haven't.
1 is actively in court right now, so out of respect for the case, it's probably more appropriate that I stay quiet on that. However, I'm not going to tell people what they want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth, and whether you like it or not is up to you. If there was a big explosive there, right? Given my history as a Secret Service agent, and my personal friendship as a director does with the president, give me one logical, sensible reason we would not have. If you can think of one, there is.
They threatened you. They got to you. They threatened your family. I mean, that's not even a crazy leap to make.
Listen, there in some of these cases, the there you're looking for is not there.
What a baffling thing to say. Thomas Crooks is dead, of course. There was no trial against Thomas Crooks. And by the way, they weren't misspeaking. This wasn't an accident. We know that because the director of the FBI said the same thing once again under oath in front of Congress in September.
When your predecessor sat right there in that seat a couple of years, last year in a committee hearing, I asked him a very detailed question about Matthew Thomas Crooks, the shooter responsible for the assassination attempt on President Trump's life. I did get an answer from Chris Wray that day, and I submitted written questions to the FBI and into the record of this committee. And I want to resubmit those questions today because I think we are still awaiting answers to those questions. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to submit them for the record, please. I'd like to ask you, sir, and the FBI, under your leadership, would you please respond to these questions, and can you commit to doing that?
As soon as the trial's over.
What trial?
But if it's true that there's nothing here, then the FBI has a very strange way of showing it. In July of 2024, a bipartisan group of senators led by Republican Senator Ron Johnson.
I mean, the whole thing is, you know, you guys are talking about a 5-year-old that got a 5-year-old autistic child arrested. I hadn't heard that. There's a 9-year-old boy. I haven't seen anything about that. Yeah, I started a little earlier than normal today. Even earlier than normal for Friday. I've been talking about what I believe is some rough financial times ahead for several months now. And a lot of people are like, well, but Jeremy, you're only saying that because YouTube revenue is down. No, that's simply not true. I'm saying that because car repossessions are at an all-time high. They're at the highest they've been in 19 years. What happened 19 years ago? Well, we had the Great Recession of 2009. I've been talking about the cost of groceries, fuel, electricity, cost of living type items not coming down. I've been talking about massive job layoffs, tens of thousands of people. These aren't like cutting a couple hundred people. We're talking about, UPS cutting tens of thousands, Amazon 12,000, Target just cut thousands of people. There are massive layoffs that will have a reverberation around the country for a significant amount of time. And now the CEO of Walmart just quit. Now you might say, well, that's could be a coincidence. Yeah, it could be. I also think it could be the fact that he sees what I see and that rough times are ahead and that Walmart, while generally thrives during recessions, is in for its own set of problems because if people don't have any money, they don't have any. It doesn't matter where they're shopping. Let's look at this article. I want to talk about this. By the way, huge shout out. I want to let you guys know our apple strudel is now available Prime with free delivery on Amazon. If you're looking for something to try or to bring to your Thanksgiving or to serve to your Thanksgiving Day guests, they will rave about this. And if you're going to somebody's Thanksgiving, pick up some of our coffee, the apple strudel or our medium roast if you want to keep it safe, or dark roast. But the apple strudel's in stock now. I'll leave a link in the description below to get free shipping on it. Walmart CEO stuns Wall Street as he suddenly announces he's quitting after 12 years. This is a dude that basically worked his way up, from just an hourly employee, I believe. This will be a major, I'm sure he'll be replaced by somebody who's like got a 40-syllable last name. But anyway, following this sudden announcement, Walmart shares were down 2.5% in pre-market trading. I think it's basically recovered. I mean, Walmart, even if you think the economy's not looking good, Walmart's still generally a good buy. It's bounced back almost. It's still down, but marginally. He will retire now in January, but stay on the board through June. John Furner, currently the CEO of Walmart US, will take over the company's chief executive officer after the company's fiscal year ends on February 1st, the company said. Furner has led Walmart US since 2019, overseeing its biggest business segment, and has more than 4,600 stores. He started the Walmart in 1993 as an hourly associate and has held leadership roles in merchandising, operations, and resourcing. Sounds like a good guy. Now, John is a merchant, an operator, an innovator, and a builder, blah, 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 blah. Earlier this month, though, Macmillan issued a dire warning about artificial intelligence and how it was going to reshape every single of Walmart's 2.1 million jobs. He said the transformation will redefine how America's largest employer operates from top to bottom, affecting at least 1.6 million U.S. workers. This is what I think he sees. AI and robotics. Walmart is going to be laying off massive amounts of people. If we look at UPS layoff, UPS has laid off 48,000 people this year. That is a football stadium full of people. 48,000 people UPS has laid off this year. This year, Amazon layoff. I think 12,000, another 700 yesterday, 14,000 layoffs, at Amazon. Amazon targets as many 30,000 layoffs this year. This is the same as basically every major industry across the board. They can't even learn how to DoorDash because nobody's going to be able to afford DoorDash. You're going to see massive cuts at 3 weeks ago, Target cuts 1,800 jobs. How about this? Verizon, 9 hours ago, Verizon sets to target 15,000 jobs as agility and efficiency lead the way. Amazon target 14,000. I just without doing any research, like any deep dives, that's 100,000 jobs cut in the last month. Amazon is setting to cut up to 600,000 in their long-term plan. That's 100,000 American jobs gone in a month, 2 months before Christmas. Advertising spending is way down on YouTube, and that is a problem for creators like me. But I'm more concerned with the fact that I've been telling people that is like the tip of the spear. Advertisers know what's coming. That's why they're spending less. If they thought this was going to be a record Christmas and it was going to be a huge year, then they would be spending more, not less. Then if you fold in car repossessions surged to a 15-year high, raising concerns about economic recession. Car repossessions are surging across the United States, reaching their highest level since the Great Recession of 2009. Now, every time I talk about this stuff, a lot of people are hand-waving away.
Well, we made it to Friday. And
hand-waving away this by saying, well, give Trump time. Trump inherited a bad economy, this, that, and the other thing. I'm not saying none of that is true, right? I can tell you why we have massive car repos. It's because people bought cars they couldn't afford during the lockdowns. And if you remember, the automobile prices during the lockdowns were extremely high. A lot of people also saying, well, the car repos are from illegals. Maybe, but I don't think so. I think that a lot of people are abandoning cars that they bought during the coup. Certainly some percentage of them are illegals being deported. I mean, I would love to see that connected. That would make me feel better. People are just saying that, but I have not seen it directly connected. And in fact, they say that at 2.2 million repos already this year, that number is expected to climb past 3 million by Christmas. 3 million by Christmas. Some people think we're headed for a recession. Other people think that will remain positive but growing slowly, said Alan Ginn, economics professor. Ginn thinks the rising repossessions don't necessarily mean a recession is coming, but they do show the economy is slowing. especially when it comes to jobs and wages. If people aren't getting raises or new jobs, they could be impacted by the terms of their ability to make payments, particularly with the cost of products increasing. With inflation continuing to drive up the price of housing and food, Jin said many of the households may be pushing car payments lower on their list of priority. He also traces the trend back to the lockdowns, when many Americans had extra savings and spent on big ticket items like cars, often at high prices and high interest rates. A lot of car buyers ended up underwater. The car was worth less now than the actual value of the loan, so financially it may have made sense for them to simply default on the loan as opposed to trying to pay it off. Again, I am telling people, I am acknowledging that, sure, the lockdown loans the chickens are coming home to roost. Maybe deportations are playing in it, but it's simply not going to matter. Trump is talking endlessly about how great his stonks are, but I'm trying to talk about, Main Street. I'm trying to talk about Verizon now laying off 15,000 is not a few jobs. And I'm assuming they're just sending them to India or replacing them with AI. 15,000 roles, closing stores. Do you think that Amazon, Verizon, Target, and Walmart are all talking about massive layoffs at the same time for no reason? Or do you think maybe they know what's coming? They know. They know what's coming. 15% of Verizon's entire workforce gets fired. Everyone's like, Trump's got this. Again, I believe that this is largely a part of the Bidenomics and what they did with lockdown money and coof cash. Yes. The problem is these chickens are going to come home to roost during the midterms. During the midterms, you're going to have 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 Americans unemployed from these layoffs at this rate, if it stays at this rate going into next year. And like here, Amazon cut 700 jobs in New York City alone in a quest to streamline. They just fired 12 or 14,000 and they're still cutting basically every month. And what you're going to have is, again, it's not just Amazon. It's not just Walmart. It's not just Target. It's freaking everybody. UPS, massive layoff, 50,000 people. And Trump is going to, whether it's his problem or not, whether he caused it or not, which I don't think he caused it, but he has to start paying attention to this. And he has to start, thinking about Main Street. Gas prices are still high for most people. Grocery prices are still high for most people. The fact that we have 42 million people on SNAP is a crisis. Now, do I believe that real number is closer to 5 or 10? Yes, but we need to go through SNAP immediately because I can tell you there's going to be a hell of a lot more people applying for it after this month. You have 100,000 minimum people who just got fired that are probably going to be filing for SNAP. Gas is still expensive. Beef is still crazy expensive. And I know Trump can't just fix it overnight. I know people get defensive when I point this stuff out. But what I'm saying is the problems are real, and whether or not they're Trump's cause or Trump's doing, it doesn't matter because he has to try and fix it. I mean, these are major problems. When you have, the Walmart CEO quitting, people can hand wave that all they want, but I think he knows. I think he's jumping out of a flaming ship that he knows. It's not like Walmart's going to close, but they're going to have massive layoffs. I think Walmart's in for very tough times. I think Target's in for very tough times. I think you're going to see a lot of consolidation. People are still more interested in shopping online. They don't want to go to Walmart and have a bunch of thugs who stink like weed, harassing their daughters. It's going to be very interesting. Now, obviously, the Democrats in the midterms are going to say, well, this is the Trump economy. This is Trump's fault. That's why I'm saying if you are thinking about it like practically, Trump has to prioritize this. And I hope he does. He's got time. We got another year to the midterms, but we need to start seeing some results. That's just the fact of it. Let me know what you think. Are tough times coming? I think so, but I'm not an economist. So certainly you're welcome to disagree with me in the comments. A premium in Utah is near $4 a gallon. Yeah, like gas is crazy because gas is what I would call pretty cheap by me. I just filled up my truck. I drive an F-150. It was $101, okay, which is a lot, but it was also 24 gallons. So like, or 25 gallons almost. So I think it was right around 100, just under 100. I think premium out here is just over 350 or something. But regular is under $3. The midterm election cycle begins in 2 months, not a year. Right. The Democrats are going to use this against Trump, whether it's his fault or not. Like, and that's why he has to be the one to fix it. That's just the truth of it all. You know, with all the doom and gloom I've been talking about, I have fears about the economy in 2026. I'm very concerned that hundreds of thousands of Americans are being laid off seemingly by the month by big corporations, and they're being replaced by brown people from the 143rd ranked nation IQ who will simply work for less money. By the way, you guys know I have a strong opinion about H-1Bs. I'm going to show you this little chart real quick because, it's just every time somebody says, well, we need H-1Bs. Well, here's a chart of H-1Bs. Every single, they're not bringing in H-1Bs because we don't have the talent. They're bringing it in because they can pay them up to 50% less. Median pay for a tech lead, $189,000. What do they pay in H-1B? $95,000. That's a differential of 50% less. Software engineer, they pay Americans $162,000. They pay Indians $129,000. Java developer, they pay Americans $160,000. They pay Indians $92,000. The senior software developer, they pay Americans $135,000. They pay Indians $112,000. They pay .NET developers, Americans $127,000. They pay Indians $91,000. The H-1B program is just about saving money, but that's not the topic of this video. Doritos. One of the things that has been going well for Trump, I believe, is Maha. And we're going to get into another big win for that after a super quick word from this video sponsor that you guys don't have to hear. Now, Cheetos and Doritos turning down the orange color. And yes, it's a Trump thing. So even the media is giving Donald Trump the credit here. I mean, really, it's really a RFK thing, to be fair. Cheetos and Doritos are turning down the orange color. And yes, it's a Trump thing. PepsiCo will soon debut a line of Doritos and Cheetos without any artificial colors or snacks as the Trump administration pushes companies to ditch synthetic additives. The Simply Naked line of snacks is expected in stores around December 1st and will taste like the originals and still retain the signature flavor, including Flamin' Hot Cheetos and Cool Ranch Doritos. Though customers will note the snacks will be lighter color than they're used to, according to the company. I think this is a great idea because people are just going to pick it. They're just going to pick it. I'm like, oh, this is healthier. If it tastes the same, the color is just there for color to sell it. So if it tastes exactly the same, I'll pick the one without the food dye. Now, the one way they could screw this up, I suppose, is if they charge, 50% more for it. But like this is an absolute win for Trump. The new offerings teased back in October will be sold at the same price. There we go. As the originals, which will remain on the market. Probably more profitable, by the way. Around 40% of the company's U.S. products currently contain synthetic dyes. The Trump administration announced in April it was seeking to get all petroleum-based synthetic dyes out of food supply by the end of next year. This is an absolute win. For too long, some food producers have been feeding Americans petroleum-based chemicals without their knowledge or consent. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy said the force behind the administration's Make America Healthy Again push said that this time these poisonous compounds offer no nutritional benefit and pose real measurable dangers to our children's health and development. The following month, the FDA announced it granted petitions for 3 new color additives available from natural sources. In June, Kraft Heinz, the maker of pantry staples including Jell-O, Kool-Aid, and its name brand macaroni and cheese, announced it would remove chemical dyes by the end of 2027. By July, a group of 40 top ice cream producers have also committed to phasing out synthetic dyes. The funny part about this, so here's the picture side by side. To be honest, the ones on the right just look like they're Cool Ranch. Shout out to the taco flavored Doritos too. I don't know if those are still available, but those are delicious. They're putting in less ingredients and charging the same. So not only is the company making more money, probably, which is kind of funny, it's showing us that they could have at any time stopped poisoning us. They could have at any time said, yeah, we're good on the poisoning Americans. We don't have to do that anymore. We just don't have to, and so we're not going to. To me, I understand obviously why they did it, because they think, nacho cheese Doritos look better when they look like nacho cheese. But we now know, we look at countries like Europe, and as much as it pains me to say, and believe me, it pains me deeply, deep into my plums, it pains me to say, we look at countries like Europe and we look at their lifespan, and we look at like chronic illness when you compare the countries, and maybe it isn't the food dyes. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but all I know is that it costs me nothing to remove them. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. The countries in Europe, my apologies, I misspoke. The candy industry, home to famous and famously colorful offerings like M&Ms and Skittles, have appeared reluctant to voluntarily align with the White House initiative, but it doesn't really matter. They're going to have to. Quote, we will follow, and we will continue to follow regulatory guidance from the authorities in the space. Christopher Grindelsberger, a spokesperson for National Confectioners Association, told the New York Times in July, adding that companies need time to find alternative dyes that are struggling hard enough to find natural flavors to meet demand. He warned both challenges could drive up prices, hammering an industry already struggling with Trump's tariffs. Well, they could just make their products in America. They could just make their products in America. I really think that the market demand for these products is going to drive their supply. Like, we don't buy a lot of Doritos in this house. My wife likes them. But I can guarantee you, I could guarantee you she's going to buy the ones without the food dye. I wonder if we have an actual ad here. Let's see.
Getting a makeover. We're ready. Introducing Simply. NBC News business and economy reporter Emily Lorsch joins us. Iconic snacks, Doritos and Cheetos, 2 types each, and they're basically removing some of those artificial dyes.
Why do we have music behind everything?
These glasses will tint them so that we won't be able to see the coloring that the viewers will be able to see, and so we're going to bring them out.
Okay, so this is good. A side-by-side taste test. See if they can tell the difference.
And we have here one.
Okay.
That's one. Tastes like a Dorito.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to chew it now. Now everybody's gonna sit and listen to it, which is a little awkward. But here we are.
Eating on TV is real fun.
We're in it together.
Okay.
Sorry about this.
Does she notice the difference?
Yeah, someone else.
Wait,
Jen, can you come and taste the chip with us?
I can't tell.
Wait, come on in.
See, there you go.
Wait, one of these is.
Okay.
Is this naked?
So they can't tell. I mean, that's precisely my point. Like, why was it? I mean, I know it was in there for marketing purposes when they sold it, but like, I'm certainly not going to miss. I'm certainly not going to miss having that orange cheese dust all over my fingers, and I just think that like, it's wild. Like, I don't know if more companies. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see the free market actually accelerate Maha, because people are actually going to go out there. You see Walmart plans to remove artificial colors and other food additives from all of their store brands by 2027. Isn't that bonkers? Like, Walmart store brands is a lot. There's a lot of store brands in Walmart. And for them to remove the dyes, wildly important. Wildly important. And I just think that you've got to call out the wins. I know I've been doing a lot of doom pilling lately with the economy. Kraft and Heinz will remove artificial dyes from all products like Jell-O and Kool-Aid. I see this as an absolute win. This is just simply an absolute win for the American people, an absolute win for health. And look, if it doesn't change anything, so what? You know what I mean? If it doesn't change anything, well, at least we're not consuming garbage that we don't need. If it makes us healthier long term, well, then I think we're going to have some lawsuits. That's absolutely what I would like to see happen. So shout out Maha, shout out Trump, shout out Doritos, and everyone getting on board willingly. I think that history will prove that that's going to be the right decision. Somebody says, what am I supposed to do about my plastic in my K-cups? Well, I would just buy ground and use a K-cup adapter. That's what I recommend when people email us and ask that. We're looking into making, they have some like K-cups that aren't in plastic cups. They come in like a sachet. But from what I can tell, that sachet also contains microplastics. So it's not even like, it's not like outright better. Dyes sell Jell-O? Maybe. And I think they could still use dyes, but they just have to use natural ones, right? That's what they have to do. And otherwise, a different product will, and they'll lose sales to it, which I'm also fine with. There's an app called Yuka, and you can scan your products to see if they're good or bad. Also gives you recommendations for better products. Oh, that's cool. I should look for them as a sponsor. By the way, shout out to everyone. I went through and I counted all of the Trump cookbooks I have left. The Mega Mixology, which has like 100 recipes, I think, all full color, and they're all like hilarious meme. They're delicious. They're memes. And our Christmas one, I have 400 of each. And we have like 300 of the original tailgates for Trump. They make an absolute awesome stocking stuffer and a great white elephant gift. Now, there's only a few of them, so I'm really kind of only telling my live stream about it. If you go to thequartering.com/shop, you can pre-order yours today. And my wife and I will ship them out probably the first week in December, maybe a little bit before. If we can I had to order some more boxes. I'm not going to order any more. So I'm just selling what I have. So when they're gone, they're gone. That's a theme this year. That's my theme with the Coffee Brand Coffee gift boxes too. Whew, Hucky, you stink. Did you make a poop? You bombed me out, bud. Mr. Tough Guy, isn't more of a win if they force the removal now instead of waiting until after midterm when the House could reverse all the Dems' power? Yeah, I mean, I hope that Trump gets a lot of shit done in the next... Trump has to get a lot of stuff done in the next year, because if he doesn't win midterms, if we don't win the midterms, we're going to have a big problem, and I don't think we're gonna. Mr. Tough Guy says, I want to throw an idea out there or get your opinion. What do you think about insurance companies offering rebates, pretty much a refund on policies instead of Trump's $2,000 back? Well, yeah, but I mean, you're talking about private companies choosing to do something good. They're not going to do that. That would be good. Bystander system. I don't care what this orange liar says anymore. I'm tired. I want this. I don't want this asshole to continue, quote, winning. Well, now that the government's back open, Trump's got to get some stuff done. Panacana says Trump just made Cheetos healthy. The orange on orange violence. We're fucking winning. And on YouTube, lime to coconut for 20. Thank you. The H-1Bs are not only about pay, they tend to be contractors, which makes it easier to hire and fire, but limit hours worked. H-1Bs can be pressured into working unreported overtime because they can't easily quit or sue. Correct. And there's also more than just the H-1B. There's a lot of these kind of, temporary visas that also take American jobs. Woke gabapentin is attacking my dog. That's exactly what happened. Although I think he's done with it. He's basically good now. So I don't really want to keep giving him pain meds if he doesn't need them, you know? Sergeant says, I'm not going to lie. Like, I wanted Trump back in office. When I found out he was going to put RFK in charge of health and human services, my dick about put a hole in my roof. Yeah, I that's the most excited part I was, because I knew you were going to get what you're going to get with Trump. You know? Got another video too. Tim going off last night. Are you playing Black Ops 7 this weekend? Is it out? I don't even think I own it. When does it come out? I probably won't buy it right now because I like to finish the game I already bought, and I already bought Baldur's Gate 3. I do love me some Call of Duty. I know it's cringe and bad, but I like it. So, don't you understand what ignorant prejudice like that can lead to disprove Carmen's hateful rumors? Do you know that any red-haired Frankel kids... Wait, I don't know what you're talking about. When is Black Ops out? Solar Flare burnt Tim a little bit. Well, he's I think he's been sick. Do you all understand? Wait, hold on a sec. I don't own it. I have Black Ops Cold War. That's not the new one, is it? What do you guys got going on this weekend, by the way? How about let's start there. What do you guys got going on? So I always like to ask, you know, we do kind of a smaller show on Fridays. What do you guys got going on? Let me know what you got going on while I play this real quick. Doobie-doobie-doo, so I can read the chat. If you're in an accident or injured in any way, you should know how to protect your rights. That's why I'm so glad to have this video sponsor Morgan & Morgan. When you're seriously hurt, your injury could be worth millions of dollars. Morgan & Morgan doesn't settle for lowball offers. Just in the past couple of months, Morgan & Morgan saw verdicts of $12 million in Florida, 34 times the highest insurance offer, $26 million in Philadelphia, 40 times the highest insurance offer, and $6.8 million in New York, 25 times the highest insurance offer. Their fee is absolutely free unless you win. Fighting big companies takes a big law firm. As America's largest injury law firm, Morgan & Morgan are ready to take on insurance companies of all sizes. Morgan & Morgan has modernized the injury law process so you can submit a claim and communicate with your legal team all from your smartphone. And remember, size matters. Morgan & Morgan is big. They're America's largest injury law firm. That means they have the resources to fight to get you the best results, and they're capable of spending millions on a case to see it through. Did you know you can start a claim with America's largest injury law firm in just one click? It's so easy. You can start your claim now with Morgan & Morgan at www.forthepeople.com/quartering or click the link in the description down below. All right. Let's see. I will play some Black Ops 7, I think. But I don't know when it's gonna be installed. Like, I don't know. I don't see it. That's weird. Does it just say Call of Duty normally, or does it actually have its own thing where it says Black Ops 7? Because all these say, all these just say Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Vanguard. Yeah, they don't say anything. That's weird. Very odd. Jeremy, there's a newer tabletop war game called Conquest. I've chosen the army that has orcs riding dinosaurs. That's pretty cool. Let's see here. Just as Call of Duty started an update. I have Black Ops Cold War showing. It's so weird. Why aren't you showing? Is it just yeah, it just shows me Black Ops 4 and Black Ops Cold War. But Call of Duty is updating. And it's 242 gigabytes. Good Lord. Maybe it's just going to be Call of Duty and it'll be added once it's there. Black Ops 7 released at midnight last night, by the way. Okay. I'll play it this weekend. I've got dinner with the grandparents, and Saturday I'm going to be cleaning up my set and putting Christmas stuff up on the set, and also mowing the lawn one last time, mowing the field. Does Mrs. Quarter Pounder ever play flight sims? No, she's never done it. I bought her Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I was like, try this out, and I'll, if you like it, I'll get you a yoke, like a full setup. And she didn't like it. I thought for sure, like, I know a lot of pilots do them, like a lot of pilots, so they can fly different planes and all that kind of stuff. But I guess she didn't care for it. Over 200 gigs is crazy. 242 gigs. I got Gobble Till You Wobble. We're bar hop for 5 hours for charity. Nice. Let's get into this other thing I want to talk about. So I was watching Timcast IRL the other night. I know. Some people love Tim, some people hate Tim, and they all like to tell me which one is them. I like Tim. I think he does a great job. We don't always agree on everything. But, he's definitely one of the largest platforms. He's certainly the largest panel show in this space online that I can think of. And it's something 40,000 plus people watch every single night, plus another 20 or 30,000 on Rumble. So, I mean, the guy's got 70,000 live viewers every night. And there was kind of this conversation that I wanted to weigh in on, because I find myself, I talked to Tim a little bit. We were texting back and forth when he was sick. And we kind of agree on what's going on right now with the right. We have very big issues. The H-1B issue, really all foreigner, all legal immigrants, we have that issue. We also have the issue of illegal immigrants. We have the issue of student visas. We have the issue of real estate being too expensive. We have the issue of gas and meat still being too expensive. We have an issue of 100,000 layoffs last month. We have the issue of, inflation. We have an issue of, bringing this tariff stuff, to an end, or, finishing these tariff deals. We have many, many issues. And like, to me, much of the online right, just based on the numbers, you can't argue it, are kind of into this like true crime podcast stuff with Charlie Kirk. And I think that that's totally fine that exists. I would rather wait for the trial, but I'm worried that, we're fracturing over this. And he kind of went off the other night in 2 different clips that I want to kind of address. By the way, want to let you guys know, since it's Tim, my yearly gift boxes, my coffee gift boxes, which we have an advent calendar, which is great. I put it on the set back here. It's nice and big. We doubled the amount of product in it. We have our gift box, and for the coffee hardcores, a 7-ounce bag of Kona coffee, which normally is like $70, peppermint bark, and our gold coffee scoop, and it comes shipped in a stocking, ready to gift. Only 500 each, available for Christmas. So coffeebrandcoffee.com. You can, right on top, there's a Christmas gifts link you can go to. You're not cheating on Tim if you get the gift box. He doesn't sell those. A battle is raging for Charlie's legacy. We all sense how unnatural, wicked, and not God it is. And it feels wrong because Charlie was anointed, and trying to replace him has made many radically America only So go on, smear us again, fail again. You have no power here. I'm not sure who this guy is, honestly.
It wasn't before Charlie died. It wasn't.
Well, yeah.
The amount of chaos that has erupted following the assassination of Charlie Kirk is just terribly sad.
Well, and it's a great crack up. You mentioned it. It's the great crack up over Israel, too. What do they hate about Tucker Carlson?
Well, look, there were a lot of people who were very critical of Israel. And like, I think that Israel should be able to defend itself. We don't need to be sending them money. They shouldn't have all this lobby money. We agree on that. But like, we agreed on that 6 months ago. But for whatever reason, now it's like literally the only thing people are talking about. And I'm worried that it's a major distraction from the midterms, because the midterm election cycle is going to be starting in January. All right. So like, I'm hoping that we kind of get this out of our system by January, so we can focus on making sure that we get the right people elected and get the right pathway. We can come together. And just as Tim says, I agree. I have no issue that Candace is doing her true crime podcast. I have no issue if Tucker Carlson wants a platform, who he doesn't want a platform. In fact, I gave him a massive compliment. I think the work he did on the Butler assassin, I did a whole video about it today. Excellent, excellent work. Top tier Tucker Carlson. But I really kind of relate here to Tim.
Hate that he's not a Nazi. They call him a Nazi all day because he's essentially a center-right, moderate, conservative, and moral and decent guy who's turned against Zionism. And so they just cannot have that, because like, Tim, I know for you, when this Israel stuff broke out 2 years ago, and you saw all of these woke communist protesters who were bad on the last 10 things in a row that you hated so much, and they're now against Israel, you're like, well, you don't want those cooties, man. Well, Tucker Carlson is...
No, I disagree with that myself. I am against Israel's influence in the United States. I don't want them giving our politicians money. I don't want to give them billions of dollars. I felt that way 6 months ago, and it had absolutely nothing to do with the leftoids. It's just I was more concerned with more pressing issues, like a football stadium full of people dying from fentanyl every year.
Saying to you that, hey, Tim, you don't have to move left to give
I don't
up
care
on
about
Israel or whatever.
I don't care about Israel at all.
Well, but look, our country is implemented. It's not that it doesn't matter. It's not like it's Myanmar versus Pango here. This is America's implicated in Israel's.
He's right about that. I'll give him that. But I will refer to the fact, same with Tim, I don't care about Israel. I don't want us to be so, like, intertwined with them, but I don't want us so intertwined with Qatar either. I don't want a freaking Qatari military base, but I just don't want it to be 100% of the narrative. And I think people who are, like, obsessed with Israel think that if you just have a more moderate take on it, like, yeah, Israel's involvement in our government sucks, and I don't want that. But if you don't make it your whole life and your whole identity, they're like, $7,000, $7,000, $7,000. No, I don't want Israel giving our politicians money. I don't want our government giving Israel billions of dollars. I don't want Israel dragging us in to bomb Iran. My history proves that. I've done videos about it. And like but it's just not my whole personality. And I think that when you make it your whole personality, when, like the right is right now, the dominant personality, I mean, Candace Owens is the #1 podcast in the world. Hard to deny it, okay? You're going to lose on all these other issues, and you're going to lose the midterms.
Wars. Americans die in blowback terrorist attacks
True.
Because of Israel's
That's true.
foreign policies. And we're completely implicated in this entirely. So if
I don't think Israel's foreign policies are all that different from our own. I think they're one and the same, but anyway.
you don't care about it,
Okay,
you have to be
Scott,
against
Scott,
it.
I think
Because
that
now,
we're trying to say, like, we're not interested in the conversation over whether Tucker Carlson is or isn't a Nazi. We would actually like to talk about the substance of the issue. I think that's what we're talking
but that's
about.
the point, is that he's not talking about Nazism. Tucker is talking about the problem of Israel and their influence.
Tim's about to explode here.
In this country.
I don't
which
care
you should.
about
It's a big
Tucker
deal.
Carlson debating Nick Fuentes or discussing
I don't
things
care
with
about
Nick
that
Fuentes. It's meaningless. I don't care if Candace Owens wants to do a true crime show. I don't care. The point I'm making is that this has become the top level of the right.
He's right. And some people might think that that's a good thing, and they're entitled to believe that. I mean, clearly a lot of people do believe it's a good thing, because it is, Candace's show is wildly popular, and I think she should be able to talk about whatever she wants. I should be able to refute, some of her crazy theories and lies, but she's 1,000% entitled to kind of cross over conservatism with true crime. And, but I'm concerned about what's going on with China. I got Trump telling me we should have 600,000 Chinese spies in our college program. Wasn't a Chinese student just arrested for like bioterror, trying to smuggle something out of America? Like, the idea is we need the top of the funnel on the right to be about issues that matter to most Americans. And this Israel topic is a wildly online conversation. And if the majority of the right believes that this is what it should focus on, then I cannot, disagree with it. Like, the majority rule there. But I'm going to tell you, it's going to lose us the midterms bigly. Now, I would say we're not looking good the way it is, but if we're still talking about Israel in April and May, we're going to lose the midterms bigly. And then Trump will spend the last 2 years of his presidency being impeached. I'm not saying it's that you can't talk about it. I'm not saying that it's not important and people will get triggered when I say that, but I'm saying that is the reality of what's going to happen. Okay. And if you look at that and say, I'm okay with that because this issue is that important, then I'm not here to tell you you're wrong, because that's how you feel. But, even as I'm recording this, people are absolutely spurging out in chat because I'm questioning maybe their entire life shouldn't be obsessing about Israel. It's no different than leftists being obsessed with, DEI and race. It's not, it's a political opinion. It's not a personality. It's like the gays, like LGBTQ people make their whole personality being gay. These Israel people make it their whole personality, and it's extremely abrasive. It's extremely very online. And so you're gonna look again, they're allowed to talk about it 100%. And as I've said, they might be right. Maybe I'm wrong and Israel is the most important thing happening to our country right now. Maybe. I don't think it is, but I'm wrong about a lot of things. And so I feel like we should be talking about H-1Bs in the conservative space. We should be talking about, how we don't know anything about Thomas Matthew Crooks. We should be talking about, Chinese student invasion. We should be talking about, these mass layoffs. We should be talking about interest rates still being over 6%. We should be talking about how people can't buy homes and we should be talking about how the younger generation, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, are checking out of society because they've lost hope. Like this stuff is like nonsense. No, and by the way, I am in fact not Jewish.
The right's debate right now is not over whether or not our policy is effective or what we are going to be doing moving into a midterm year. The conversation on the right is, can you believe what Candace is saying about Turning Point?
Where's the lie? That's what he's right. He's right.
And I'm sitting there being like, I don't care. I don't care that Tucker sat down with Nick. I don't care about what Nick's opinions are. I don't care about Tucker's opinion. They were allowed to have opinions on whatever they wanted, and so was Candace. I am annoyed that this is the drama that everyone's engaged in. I will say it's disappointing that Candace went from talking about news to talking about conspiratorial drama. Sure. And that's whatever. They're allowed to talk about whatever they want, and I'm not going to tell them not to do it. I will just say this. It is the utmost of demoralization when I go on to look up the news, and it's Israel and the Jews, and Turning Point killed Charlie. And I'm sitting here being like, didn't they just say that they were not, like, the airlines are shutting down? Can I talk about that stuff? AI is taking over. What about the H-1Bs and the Chinese visas?
Right,
All that
I agree.
stuff's really important. I mean, they're prepping an invasion of Venezuela right now.
Exactly what Matt Walsh was saying just
by the way, for the record, I've been firmly in this camp a lot longer, but these people obviously are a lot more popular than me. So when like Matt Walsh says it, it means something. When I say it, it's just like, oh, there's the guy, the Brie Larson YouTuber who says that. Like, look, people are allowed to talk about Israel and, Turning Point killed Charlie Kirk. That I'm not saying that can't be. I'm just saying just know that this will cost the right the midterms. Like that I'm not saying it's good or bad that you're talking about it, that people are obsessed about it. People are allowed to be interested in whatever they want, but this will cost the Republicans a midterm. And maybe you think that's a good thing, because maybe the Republicans that will lose will be a bunch of Israel first, make Israel great again conservatives. And that's probably a good thing. But like, there's a difference between pointing out the reality of what's going to happen and like siding with Israel. I have been on, like, the people who have actually been around. No, I don't care about Israel at all. I wish we would give them zero financial aid. Okay. But because I don't make it my whole personality, I constantly get accused of being like, I can't even tweet something without people being like, oh my God. If I say that Candace Owens saying Charlie Kirk's ghost came to her and said that he was killed by TPUSA, if I call her crazy for that, I get 1,000 people to saying I'm like a Jew. Like, I don't care. Like, they are making the right look like idiots. And I agree, you can't be America first and MAGA. I agree with that. But look, I hope that, we get to the bottom of this stuff and we can get the conversation back on. In a perfect world, to wrap this up, in a perfect world, we get to we actually finish talking about this stuff and we come to some conclusion, whatever that is, right? Some policy change, or we vote some people in that are going to decouple us from Israel. But if the conversation is this for another 8 months, the Republicans are going to get blown out in the midterms. And when we had Candace Owens encouraging people not to vote, okay, she's the largest podcast in the world, and she said, well, I'm not going to vote until I know what's happened to Charlie. Okay, well, cool. Well, just know that the net of that is that Democrats are going to win in a landslide in midterms. And if you're okay with that, then you're okay with that. I'm not, but I can't, I'm not right. You're not wrong. Like, it's just who I'm not, we're just different about that. And, I guess with that, I'm going to use my $7,000 check to make sure that I pick up some of these awesome gift boxes for people. Probably going to piss some people off with this segment, but like, I want us to be focusing on America first issues. And part of that is decoupling from Israel, but it can't be the whole conversation. And that's what Tim's saying here.
And it's the Israel psychobabble as a large reason why Trump is going to lose. And,
yes,
I'll
I
put it
agree.
this way. Israel's going to win everything. They're going to win everything because
I agree. That's what's going to happen. And if people are okay with that, then they can be okay with that. I'm not okay with that, but I use my platform to try and talk about important stuff that I think is important. And if Candace or Nick or any of these other people want to use their platform to talk about what they find is important, that's 100% fine too. It'll be interesting. The comment section will probably be pretty wild for this one, but we'll talk to you again real soon. Can you do this next segment without mentioning Israel? Nope, can't do it. Can't do it, won't do it. Can't stop, won't stop. I'm downloading Black Ops 7. There's 131 gigabytes left. I won't be able to play with you guys today, but if you're in the Discord, you can add me on BattleNet and we can play together. So if you're in the members Discord, we can play together, or we can squad up. So that's at thequartering.com/join, or I know many of you are already in it. How would talking about Trump's pro-Chinese spy stance help us with the midterm, Jeremy? It would help as much as talking about Israel. But I think the point is we need our politicians reading the room and talking about, why do you think they trotted out J.D. Vance yesterday to talk about home prices? It's because they read the room and they're like, hey, we need to talk about this stuff because this shit matters. Your average casual voter doesn't care about Israel. I know people think they do, but they don't. And maybe they should, right? I'm not saying they shouldn't, but I'm saying they don't. There's a big difference there. Most people online can't simply discern when somebody says something like that. I'm not saying they shouldn't care about it, but I'm saying they don't care about it. And if every time they go on to read the news and they see people spurging about Israel, or they see politicians spurging about Israel, they're not going to vote for them, and they're going to lose. So, you know, if you like, I can see HH in the YouTube chat is clearly one of those people that makes Israel their entire identity, and that's cool. I hope that works out for you. But that's not what I think is going to win elections. And I'm concerned with the most important thing to me is Donald Trump maintaining a majority in the House and Senate so he can get stuff done with his last 2 years in office. That's what's important to me. But it's not what is important to everybody, and I can't change people's minds, and that's okay. I think with that, we'll be wrapping up for today. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. And I will be doing a Saturday stream as well, covering news and playing video games on Saturday. And I'm going to get working on chores around the house and cleaning up around here. The biggest Democrat streamer just told everyone that the second biggest Democrat streamer banged a 15-year-old. And you're the only person I saw call this up because everyone's talking about Israel. Yes, that's a great example. Right. And no one even gave a shit about that video. You know? It's tough. You guys have a good weekend. We'll see you tomorrow. I don't know when I'm going to stream tomorrow. It'll probably be in the afternoon, like 2 or 3. So we'll see you guys all then.